Good evening and welcome to MHC on the Rise, where it's our goal to create positive conversation and find solutions to the issues that impact Martinsville and Henry County. I'm your host, Garrett Dillard, and tonight we're discussing crime and violence, and we have two great guests with us, and they'll introduce themselves, and we'll begin looking for solutions and having positive conversation about crime and violence.
Good evening. I'm Joan Ziglar, Commonwealth's Attorney for the City of Martinsville.
And I'm Andrew Nestor. I'm Commonwealth Attorney for Henry County.
And I know that, both of you all are Commonwealth's attorney and your jobs are very similar. But Ms. Ziglar, would you tell us some specifics about your role as Commonwealth's attorney?
The main role for all Commonwealth's attorneys is to prosecute crimes that are brought to the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office and to try and increase the public safety for the area where you are serving. We are elected officials, and another part of our job is to provide legal advice to the police department and any public safety area where they bring crimes to us to prosecute. We also do forfeitures, and we work with the Victim Witness Program to help victims of crime.
Okay, and that's good to know that you do more than hear court cases, because I'm sure most people assume that's what you do. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Mr. Nestor?
Mr. Dillard, as Ms. Ziegler pointed out, basically our jobs are the same. We will prosecute any case that is brought to us to its fullest extent, and we work very closely with the law enforcement, our victim witness program, asset forfeiture. We do the same work that Ms. Ziegler's office does.
Okay. And what are some of the resources that your office provides to the citizens of Martinsville, Henry County?
One resource that we provide that a lot of people may not know about is our victim witness program. My office, as well as the city office, are very blessed to have a victim witness staff in our office, and that is a liaison, if you will, that helps the witnesses, the victims of crime, know the steps that's going on in the process, keeps them informed. They can pick the phone up and call them at any time, ask what's the status of a case. They will get a letter from our office when it's finished, when the case is over with, telling the disposition of a case. And it's just someone they can reach out to at any time and find out what's going on with their case. If they're traveling from out of town, they can ensure that perhaps fuel mileage is paid, hotel accommodations are made. But that's one of the resources that our office provides that a lot of people just are not very familiar with.
Are there any other resources that you'd like to mention, Ms. Ziegler, that your office provides for the citizens of Martinsville?
Well, we've been blessed to be able to use state funding, which if I did not use, I'd have to turn over to the state because it's from them, to set up an internship program for young people, and some of them can be older. Anyone who is in college or high school or even middle school, sometimes we'll do a shadowing program for them. We use that funding to pay them because this area has had a lot of economic hits, and a lot of young people who want to go to college or who want to help their family be able to afford to do the things that they need to do, including eat, can come to work in my office if they qualify and earn money over the summer. And sometimes through the year. Right now I have 2 interns. They can earn money to help their families, and it's turned out to be a really great program because it keeps me in touch with young people, and it gives the young people an opportunity to know police officers and Commonwealth's attorneys and other defense attorneys as well, and probation officers.
Awesome.
So they get to know a lot of people within the criminal justice system, including the judges, who are always very happy to talk with them.
And that sounds like a really good opportunity for those young folk. Are there any other resources that you all would like to mention? If not, I would like to move on to the next question. And, how would you assess the crime rate in your jurisdiction of Martinsville, Ms. Ziegler?
When I first took office about 16 years ago, the crime rate was extremely high. We were referred to in a lot of jurisdictions as Little Chicago because of the number of murders we were having, and we were having drive-by shootings on Fayette Street and in other areas of the West End, and a few on the South Side. Since I have taken office and worked diligently with all level of agencies, state, local, and federal. We have been able to bring the crime rate down. In fact, I've been touting every chance I get that the community has worked with me to bring the crime rate down to the lowest it has been in 30 years. So 2012 was a stellar year for us, and ever since I've been in office, the crime rate has been going down. We have had an amazing relationship with law enforcement, fire department, all the local agencies, state agencies. The Attorney General is awesome to work with. They've sent resources. State police have been a blessing. We tag teamed and got the crime rate down, and the citizens have joined in with us. We've had 42 citizen groups join and form neighborhood watch committees, and Coretha Grabley is just an amazing person who works with all those people. So Martinsville is making progress in fighting crime. There's still more to do, and we have to continue to be vigilant, but we are making progress.
That's awesome, awesome. Mr. Nestor, how would you rate or assess the crime rate in Henry County?
Well, much like Ms. Ziglar pointed out, we work great with the local law enforcement, state police, Henry County Sheriff's Office. In terms of the crime rate in the county, I don't think we've had quite the success Ms. Ziglar has had, but I can say that we are on pretty much par. Of course, it's sort of a flat line, if you will. I don't think it is increasing exponentially. We would obviously like to see it go down more than what it is, but it is sort of staying at a constant rate in the county.
And you both mentioned that, we're making progress, but what are some things that we can do? And that's what we're here for. We want to get solutions. What can we as Martinsville, Henry County citizens, Commonwealth's attorney, police department, churches, business leaders, what can we do to keep the crime rate going down?
Something effective that I believe that they can do is join a neighborhood watch group. That is a very effective way to get to know your neighbors, get to know your community, and most neighborhood watch meetings, they feature someone from law enforcement will come speak about what's going on and keep them abreast of what's going on in the neighborhood, what crimes are happening, and things to look out for. That opens people's eyes to the things that they need to watch out for. You get to know your neighbors, you get to know who's around, you get to know your surroundings, and you feel more comfortable being able to call your neighbor up and say, hey, I saw a strange car at your house, or something's not right.
Okay.
And I would like to add to that although we are blessed not to be overrun with gangs, we are starting to see some real gang members in our community. The public needs to educate themselves on what gangs are here, what their colors are, some of the things about gangs, not to be afraid of them. If you see people constantly wearing red and white and they're always in a group, then you may want to start to consider that may be a little clique forming of Bloods, or if it's blue, that may be the Crips. Okay. Mexican Mafia is here. Get to know the things about your own community. The crimes are linked. A lot of times drug dealers are leading these gangs. And if you do nothing else, if you have a child or grandchild, I plead with you to stay active with that child. Keep that child busy. Know where your child is at all times, because people will prey on your children and use them to carry out the crimes that they don't want to get caught carrying out, because they tell them they won't do anything to a young person. You'll get a pass on your first one. And that's the way they get them into gangs, and they rise up the ranks in the gangs by committing crimes.
Yeah. And I don't think you guys really need me here to put out the information. You all, have some really good information. It's great, for Martinsville, Henry County to see that, especially you mentioned, gangs, because we hear gangs, but you don't often see gangs because, it's not always labeled as gang activity, but it's good to know that, that's something we need to be on the watch for, because as gangs come into an area, they can slowly creep in, but once they get in, it becomes a big issue, and it's a tough issue to fight. And That leads me to my next question. As the economy has shifted, have you seen a change in the types of crimes or the amount of crime that has taken place in Martinsville, Henry County?
In Henry County, we've seen a big shift in terms of property crimes. With a lower scale economy, we see more shopliftings, larcenies, burglaries. The amount of violent crimes is pretty much stayed the same, but in terms of people just stealing and burglarizing to support themselves, it has gone up considerably.
I agree. I think the largest increase in crime has been in larcenies, whether it's related to drug dealing or to the economic situation that we're in.
Okay. And we mentioned, economy, you mentioned some drugs. What are some of the common factors that lead to crime in our area?
Drugs.
I agree 100%. I think drugs has a huge undertone in our community, and I would venture to say a very, very, very high percentage. Although they may not be charged with a drug crime, it can somehow be linked to drug use.
Okay. And how, when you have court cases, how frequently is drugs related or involved in that court case?
Let me give you a couple of examples
Okay.
that people may not even associate with drugs. Shoplifting. Drug dealers are starting to give their young people a list of items that they would like to have. It may be groceries. If they're having a cookout, they may want a bunch of steaks. And young people will go out, or they're runners, maybe not always young people. They'll go out and steal what they need from the grocery store. If they need a flat screen TV, then if they know that you have just bought a flat screen TV because you left the box on the curb to be picked up, then you're targeting yourself. Another thing that we have seen is shoplifting of batteries. And it took me a moment to realize that that's related to meth. People are starting to steal a lot of batteries from the stores around here. And we need to not just consider that's a theft, but why are they stealing batteries? They're stealing the batteries to make meth.
Wow. And I would have never put those two together, stealing batteries to make meth. And as you mentioned, leaving your boxes out on the side for the garbage collection, and somebody's observing and watching that, knowing that you bought a new TV, and next thing you know, someone is breaking into your house. So that's really good information and some good tips for our citizens on maybe how they can safe-proof their homes. Did you want to mention anything, Mr. Nestor, in reference to that question?
In terms of what Ms. Ziglar pointed out about the crimes and the drug relationship to it, it's a deep undertone in the county. It is connected, I would venture to say, to probably 2 out of every 3 crimes, although not charged.
Oh, wow.
There is some drug undertone, whether they're stealing to support their habit, whether they're stealing to support their dealer, or they've spent all their money on the drugs and they need to steal to just support themselves.
Wow, and then that's, we've had a show here about drugs and the meth and the other drugs that are coming into the area, and now we see how drugs are also affecting crime. And when we come back, we're gonna, go further with Ms. Ziglar and Mr. Nestor in reference to crime and violence. But right now, we're gonna take a break, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Nick Bello. You might know me as the Credit Master. We have cars all over the place here. We have hundreds of them. From this 2011 Corolla right here with only 21,000 miles, 36 miles to a gallon. I'm the Credit Master, Nick Bello. Find out firsthand why they call me the Credit Master. I've helped thousands of people just like you in the past with credit issues such as bankruptcies, divorce, layoffs, repossessions, and slow pay. So call me and find out firsthand why they call me the Credit Master.
You're watching BTW 21, your neighborhood network, the pride of Martinsville and Henry County.
For over 80 years, Martinsville First Savings Bank has called Martinsville home. In this time, we've gotten to know our customers personally. Our interest is in Martinsville, in the people and businesses of Martinsville. And because we're a part of the community ourselves, we have a stake in the people around us.
Though we've changed our name, our goal is the same, to always put Martinsville first.
Local high school football only on your neighborhood network, Monday nights at 9.
Getting the kids ready for school can get expensive. That's why during the summer clearance event, Jim Mills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is offering the best pricing of the year on all remaining 2013 fuel-efficient vehicles, saving you money monthly on payments and at the pump, like the 31 MPG Highway Chrysler 200. Purchase yours today for just $19,999. Plus, don't forget about Jim Mills lifetime warranty, giving you total peace of mind for as long as you own your vehicle. But only from Jim Mills, the name you trust. Visit JimMillsChryslerDodgeJeep.com today.
Martinsville and Henry County. If we love this place, let's keep it clean.
Kids ready for school can get expensive. That's why Jim Mills Nissan is offering the best pricing of the year on all remaining 2013 fuel-efficient vehicles, saving you money monthly on payments and at the pump. Like the 38 MPG Highway Nissan Altima, now just $19,999. That's right, $19,999 or just $297 per month. Plus, don't forget about the Jim Mills lifetime warranty, giving you total peace of mind for as long as you own your vehicle. But only from Jim Mills, the name you trust. Visit JimMillsNissan.com today.
Welcome back to MHC on the Rise. You can find us here Monday nights at 8 p.m. on your BTW 21. Tonight we have Ms. Joan Ziglar and Mr. M. Andrew Nestor, and we're talking about crime and violence. And on the other half of the other side of the break, we were discussing the impact that drugs have on crime. But as you know, we talked during the break, prescription pills is something that's becoming more rampant, and you're finding that more involved in criminal cases. Can you guys talk a little more about the impact that prescription pills are having on crime?
I'll let Andrew lead off and then I'll join in.
Okay.
Prescription drugs are having a huge impact on our crime in this area. Prescription drugs are probably becoming more prevalent and more sought after than the illicit drugs. We're seeing a rise in methamphetamine production, but prescription drugs are so easy to get out of so many folks' medicine cabinets that they already have it. And people need to guard their medicine cabinets very diligently because they may think, well, my little Johnny or my little Susie would never do that. But they have pressure at school. They may not take them themselves, but they may see, oh, I can get $5, $6, $7, $8, maybe $10 per pill. And suddenly it becomes a very lucrative enterprise. And our sheriff's office now, they are making as many, if not more, cases that involve prescription drugs than they are with illicit drugs.
I agree 100%. Our last drug roundup, we had more pill cases than we did cocaine cases or other illicit drugs, as Mr. Nestor has pointed out. And again, they're easier to get because you can fake an illness and a doctor will give you medicine. And you can go from one doctor to another, from one state to another. We are very close to the North Carolina line, and a lot of times people will doctor shop not just in Virginia, but they'll go across the line to North Carolina, and they can collect these pills and get away with getting one prescription after the other. And they've also become very good at writing out prescriptions, stealing doctors' prescription pads and writing out as many as they want.
Or they'll get a prescription that says, you know, for instance, 10 hydrocodones, and they'll try to make it 100. We have very good pharmacists here in our community that can
Yes.
spot those very quickly and let law enforcement know. But let me point this out as well. A lot of people don't realize also that if I give you or sell you a prescription drug, that's just as guilty as selling you cocaine, methamphetamine, or heroin. Just because it is a prescription drug doesn't make it any the less better.
And you mentioned doctor shopping. Is there a particular crime category for someone who doctor shops, or is that something that we're working on developing a crime category for that? If you're going from doctor to doctor, is that a criminal offense?
It's not a criminal offense right now because the doctors are supposed to cut that off at the knees.
Okay.
The doctors are supposed to catch this. But one thing that we are doing with probation and parole is that our circuit court judge, Judge Carter Greer, has put into place a program where he has the probation officers contact doctors and let them know that these people have an addiction to pain pills, and when we start to see them coming in and testing positive for the same drug over and over and over again, our probation officers are helping out by contacting their doctors and saying, look, there's a problem here. This guy does not need to have narcotics anymore. If you have to give him pain medication, please try to give him one that does not have narcotics.
Okay. And that's, you know, we know drugs are having an impact, but what's the correlation between crime and education in Martinsville, Henry County?
It's great. It is great. Very few people who go through college end up coming back home and committing low-level crimes. Now, there are some who commit white-collar crimes, and there are some who do come back and commit low-level crimes. But the majority of people that we see do not have a high school education completion. And we see a lot of them committing the low-level crimes like drug dealing. They sometimes feel helpless that they can't succeed in life because they don't have that education that they need. So there is a very high correlation, and I think Mr. Nestor can probably expound upon that.
Absolutely. There is a direct correlation, I believe, between education and the crime. Anytime that someone pleads guilty to a felony or there's a pre-sentence report prepared for a felony sentencing event, one of the questions asked is how far did you go in school, or what's your highest level of education? And it just blows my mind that the amount of people that do not have a high school diploma. And you will see a few people that gets an education, graduates college, and does well for themselves that come back. As Ms. Ziglar pointed out, those are more tailored to the white-collar crimes, if you will, the financial crimes. But typically the thief, the burglar, there's a direct correlation for lack of education and committing that crime. Now, am I saying that everyone that didn't finish high school was destined to commit crime? Absolutely not, by no stretch of the imagination.
Correct.
But it is very interesting just to sit in court and listen how many people never finish high school and end up on the defense side of the criminal justice system.
And I would like to stress that too. We have met some people who have college degrees and have committed heinous crimes. But we've also met some people who did not have a high school education, and sometimes they commit crimes because there's a necessity. One young man who came into our courtroom for shoplifting stole because his baby was hungry. He was 19, a new parent, his girlfriend was 18, and they didn't have milk for the baby, so he went out and stole it. And instead of convicting him, we put him on a program where he had to make restitution to the store, he had to do community service, he had to take a class online, and he also had to come back after a year and show us that he's kept himself clean. But we also put him in touch with social services and other groups that could help him. But some people who don't have a high school education commit these crimes out of a feeling of necessity.
Yeah, and hopefully we can continue to attack the education, attack the drugs, and as you said, that will definitely, help to reduce the crime, but also make life better for those individuals who would otherwise, be involved, in some negative activities. And we have about 2 minutes, and I'd like to, give that time to you all to give us your final thoughts.
Again, my name is Joan Ziglar. I am the Commonwealth's attorney for the city of Martinsville. Unlike my cohort here tonight, I am in an election year where I have an opponent. I would ask you to please consider voting for me again and allowing me to continue the progress that we're making. We're celebrating the lowest crime rate in 30 years. That is attributable to the entire community working with me to bring this about, with the police department to bring it about, and other agencies that we work with, and especially with the citizens who form these neighborhood watch committees. All of us can be proud of the progress we're making, and then I ask you to keep that progress going by voting Joan Ziglar on November 5th.
To end up, again, my name is Andrew Nestor, and I am Commonwealth Attorney for Henry County. And I am blessed this time in the special election that I am running unopposed. However, I do not take that for granted by any means. I want to work hard to make sure that Henry County is a safe place to work and to live and to raise a family. I want to continue the working relationship that we have established, long established, with our local law enforcement in an effort to achieve that goal. And on November the 5th, when I am on the ballot, I ask for everybody's support for that day and for many, many elections to come.
And I would like to, thank each of you all for sharing your expertise in this area of crime and violence. And I challenge the citizens of Martinsville and Henry County to get out and, let's do those things that we can do to support Ms. Ziglar, Mr. Nestor, and our police department and our legal officials here so that we can reduce the crime and violence and continue to keep MHC on the rise. Once again, I would like to thank our guests tonight and have a good night. Thank you.
At Southern Virginia Properties, you will receive friendly, reliable service for all your real estate needs.
Southern Virginia Properties helped us find our house. I'd encourage anyone who is serious about finding and buying a house in this market to contact Southern Virginia Properties.
I give all the credit in the world to Southern Virginia Properties. They really are dedicated to the work that they do, and they're dedicated to the community that they serve.
Thank you.